Ordinarily, when scientists think of chordates, they think of vertebrates, animals with backbones. Animals such as mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish with bony skeletons, fish with cartilaginous skeletons. All are vertebrates. However, there are some small chordates that have a group known as cephalochordates. And the best known animal in that group is amphioxus. Scientists see in amphioxus three characteristics that identify all members of the phylum Chordata. Characteristics that can be demonstrated by comparing an anatomical model of this small chordate with a model of an earthworm. First, a chordate has a pharyngeal breathing device. That is, its respiratory organs are associated with the pharynx, toward the front of the body. In contrast, an animal that is not a chordate may breathe through its skin or through organs located far from the front of its body. A second chordate characteristic is a dorsal nerve cord, a hollow cord located along the upper side of the body. The nerve cord of a non-chordate is not hollow, and it runs along the underside. A third characteristic of amphioxus and of all members of the phylum is a notochord, a structure under the nerve cord, a supporting rod of fibers and cells. An animal that is not a chordate has no such structures. The three chordate characteristics are a specimen. There are the respiratory organs associated with the pharynx, the dorsal nerve cord, and the notochord. The notochord gives the phylum Chordata its name. In most animals that have a notochord, it runs the length of the body. But in one group of chordates, this is not the case. The group, which includes the sea squirts, is known as tunicates. In the young larval stage of a tunicate, the notochord does not extend into the head region. And as the animal matures, its notochord is folded and partially absorbed by the body. Tunicates and amphioxus are among the simplest of chordates. To explore chordates further, scientists study larger, more complex members of the phylum, animals such as the lamprey, a jawless fish. In a dissected lamprey, we find the pharyngeal breathing device, the notochord, and the dorsal nerve cord. These structures are covered with cartilage, a material softer than bone. At the front end is an open-roofed skull or cranium, and inside it, the brain. Lampreys and their relatives, the hagfish, are quite simple in body structure. They have no backbones and no jaws. But some species have sucker discs that allow them to grasp and suck vital fluids from the bodies of fish. Like all simple chordates, they live in water. And with jawless lampreys and hagfish as a beginning, it is in water that we continue our study of chordates. A more complex chordate group consists of fishes with cartilaginous skeletons, chondrichthyes. Rays and skates are members of this group, and so are the many species of sharks. The structural advances of chondrichthyes over jawless fish can be seen in the skeleton of a shark, a complex skeleton with a fully closed skull, yet it is made not of bone, but cartilage. The skull and spine reveal that this animal, different from amphioxus and tunicates, is a vertebrate. Its spine consists of separate segments, vertebrae. It is a vertebral column, extremely flexible and allowing for a great amount of movement. Inside it are a dorsal nerve cord and an area that is a vestigial notochord, two of the three chordate characteristics. Where is the third characteristic? In the animal's pharynx, the organs of respiration. Sharks and rays are more complex animals than jawless fish, but in some ways less highly evolved than fish with bony skeletons, osteichthyes. In these fish, the movement of bony plates that cover the organs of respiration in the pharynx can easily be seen. Dissection of a bone skeleton fish reveals the dorsal nerve cord. Between the vertebrae, there remain traces of a notochord. An entire notochord does not exist. But if we were to look back to a time when this fish was much younger, we would have seen a thin streak running the length of the body. This is the notochord, and the nerve cord is just above it. As the fish grew, the notochord was, for the most part, replaced by vertebrae surrounding the nerve cord. And as development continued, the notochord diminished in size and importance. The vertebrae grew, and the skull and backbone became the skeletal axis of the body. This pattern of development, in which a notochord or other structure exists in the embryo but disappears in the mature animal, is common among most chordates. Also common is the general form of the skeleton, and scientists find that many differences among vertebrates are not basic differences in the skeleton, but superficial ones. For example, among fish with bony skeletons, the skeletal appendages are fins. Yet among different species of fish, there are great differences in the sizes and shapes of fins. This range of differences is believed to be the result of adaptive radiation. When characteristics do not interfere with an animal's adaptation to its environment, those characteristics survive. Certain characteristics appear to survive better in certain environments. In water, pectoral and pelvic fins stabilize a fish, but a chordate on land, such as a frog, uses its appendages for different purposes. Walking, or perhaps hopping. Frogs, along with newts, salamanders, and toads, are amphibians. Of all chordates that live on land, they are most primitive in structure. Scientists believe amphibians are derived from fish. And as evidence, they note that amphibian eggs are laid in water. They closely resemble fish eggs. After hatching, the young amphibians live very much as fish do. As they mature, legs appear. Breathing shifts from gills to lungs, and the animals leave the water. Although a thin-skinned amphibian looks rather different from a reptile with its scaly skin, there again is an underlying vertebrate similarity. An amphibian skeleton usually has a backbone, skull, and 4 appendages, as does that of a reptile, a turtle. The shell makes a difference, but the skeletons may be compared, bone for bone. Sea turtles have feet shaped like broad paddles, an adaptation suited to swimming, but of lesser use in ground travel. In contrast, painted and snapping turtles have feet with separate toes and claws, useful adaptations for moving about on land. But reptile development took other directions beside that leading to turtles. For example, lizards generally have long toes useful for grasping and digging. And snakes have no visible appendages at all, just the barest internal suggestion of hip bones. Looking at a reptile, it may be difficult to imagine that this vertebrate is related to a bird, also a vertebrate. Yet comparing the skeleton of a turtle with that of a pigeon, a relationship can be seen. Both have skulls and spinal columns, and each has 2 pairs of appendages. However, in a flying bird, one pair is especially suited for movement through the air.